Hello, everyone, and welcome to another bonus episode of the SempreMilan podcast on Substack. Milan's first January signing appears to be over the line. Not yet official at the time of recording, but I'm sure it's going to come soon. Kyle Walker has swapped Manchester City for the red and black of Milan. This is going to age like milk when he fails his medical.
Yeah, let's hold off on posting until after it's official.
Yeah, we're taking a risk by doing this. To put it in perspective, we are recording this at what will be 15:22 Central European time on Friday. So he arrived in the city yesterday at Linate Airport, went to the hotel, dropped his stuff off, did the first part of his medical, and then we don't know if he signed his contract or not just yet, but given the lack of videos, we presume maybe not. Don't know if it's going to be announced today or if it might go into Saturday. We know that he can't make his debut this weekend because there's some like visa clearance, work permit stuff to contend with. So it might even slip to the derby, given we play away at Dinamo in the Champions League next week. But the main thing is he's here. It's taken 24 days. I say 24 days. It's probably more like 2 weeks to get this one done because it was only a couple of weeks ago that Pep came out and said he's told us he wants to leave, and then we've jumped on it. He was never really linked with anybody else, to be honest. Inter got a mention, some Saudi clubs too, but it seemed like he always wanted us. Before we dive into the specifics, are you happy to see Kyle Walker here?
I think I am, yeah. So right back is obviously a position we need some help in, obviously. Especially now that Emerson decided he wants to miss the next 8 weeks instead of taking a transfer. So we're looking at Calabria, who, no surprise, everyone said we need a replacement for. I actually thought he did really well in the Champions League. He was in the Champions League team of the week, but we'll get to that on the main pod. But that's not enough. You need more than just one player. Kyle Walker, 34 years old. His contract will take him probably till his 37th year. So definitely on the older end, but this is a guy who, as recently as the end of last season, was ranked in the top 5 defenders in the world by ESPN, and I think was number 2 the year prior. So this is a good player. Now, make no mistakes, he has declined this season. That's apparent. In fact, he's not even in Man City's starting 11 anymore. But before we get into all the fun stuff, yes, I'm going to say I'm happy. I'm tentative and I'm cautious. I'm a little nervous, but yes, I'm happy. He's wearing 32, which on the surface is an ugly number, but it's what Beck's had, and you can't.
He's a combination of Maldini and Cafu, mate. That's why he's wearing it. 3 in the 2.
I was going to say Maldini and Calabria.
Yeah. Cafu Labria.
Calabria, yep. Yeah, no,
He's here. He's here, and he's perfect. He's not perfect, actually. That's why he's here, ultimately. I'm going to ask you something on that in a second, but I echo all that. I'm content, not overjoyed, I would say. I think there's a reason he's ended up here, and we'll get into it. But look, it does scream a bit of bandage or band-aid or plaster or whatever you call it, in the sense that, we had such a long runway to identify the player that we wanted to invest in to be our new starting right back. And we went and spent not a huge amount, 15 million euros on Emerson Royal from Spurs. And it hasn't really guaranteed us an upgrade in the position. And we were actually in negotiations over binning him off after 6 months. So as we kind of spoken about in the chat with Lorenzo, Lorenzo being entirely rational as usual, like, it is better to fix your mistakes proactively, especially when we're in a real dogfight just to even get into the Champions League. And you're bringing the experience in of somebody who has won the Champions League, and that will help us in the latter stages of this competition. But yeah, the whole thing is a little bit like, oh, we made a mistake there, let's quickly fix it. And the answer is a 34-year-old who was no longer really wanted by his current club.
And I think that's kind of like my only real point of contention or frustration with the deal is, had we have signed Kyle Walker over the summer, I would have been pretty excited. I'm like, okay, we're signing a great right back in a position we need. It might be his last couple of years, but fantastic player. Awesome. Get him in. But because we're doing it in January, a week before the window closes with no other players, and knowing that he's obviously our only UK player that we could get because you get one a season, and knowing that 6 months prior we used up one of our only non-European Union slots on Emerson Royale, who nobody wanted, fans didn't want. The club that we bought him from was elated to see him go. Everyone said this is a bad deal, but we got him in, and then 6 months later we're going, yeah, that was a bad deal. Let's fix this. And thank you for fixing it 100%, but also
Why are we here?
fix your mistake doesn't mean you didn't make a mistake to begin with, and that can't be forgotten. And so I think a lot of the frustration with it is just like you said, the band-aid and the timing. It's just like when we should have had Conceição over the summer. We got him in December. No one's mad we got him, but it definitely set him up for failure, and I think it kind of sets Kyle Walker up for failure as well. How he does, yet to be seen, and he could still be fantastic and be great. He could become, team of the season for us. Who knows? But yes, that frustration begins with the Emerson move, and yeah, I think all the negatives are just not about Kyle Walker, but it hurts his deal.
Do you think that part of because I'm gauging on social media that I know that's not like the one authoritative voice and stuff. Like there's a lot of pundits and stuff praising the signing. Capello thinks that he'll dominate Serie A, blah blah blah. But I feel like the reaction is similar to what we've had, generally speaking. Do you think it's because people are scarred by when we've tried to plug gaps mid-season before? Like I remember we were crying out for a striker because Ibra wasn't physically reliable, and we had to go and get Mario Mandzukic, and it just didn't really work. And we've had other mid-season fixes like Pietro Pellegrini and stuff like that, and it's just we don't seem to hit on those usually. But then you've got someone like Tomori, I guess, who came in when we really needed a centre-back in that window, and he's still here now, and
Yeah,
still
our
important.
January defensive signings have actually been pretty solid over the last couple of years. Who was the other one? Did we get Chow in January, or we got another center
Yeah.
back in January that helped out?
Mm.
I don't remember who, but there was
Kier.
granted.
Simon
Oh,
Kier.
it was Care. Yeah. Granted, it was
Yeah.
all under Maldini. So it might be different under the new management, the January
Yeah.
transfers, but so that gives me a little bit. But yeah, the worry comes from the age because yes, it is a bandage signing. We know that based on his age. He's 34. If we give him a loan, he'll be I think by the end of this season he will turn 35, and then if we give him the 2-year contract that he's agreed upon, he'll be 37 at the end of that. There's no chance he's going to continue further. And if he does, we're in a serious problem because I don't think he should be starting in that final year either. Unless he just dominates, right? If he comes out the
Yeah.
gates, he's killing it, then it's like, okay, you play him until you can't. But
And maybe he can reinvent himself a little bit and okay, if his legs go, because he's so reliant on pace and athleticism, that if that goes a bit, can he become a centre back? Can he make that transition? I'm
yeah,
concerned at the moment, for
yeah, me
tactical
too.
things that we'll come on to, but
I
it's
do
if he
think
can do
he's
that.
not. He hasn't lost as much speed as like people are saying, um, but he has lost speed. So make no mistake about it. He's still a fast player and definitely faster than most defenders. Is he going to be keeping up with the quickest wingers? No,
In
but
Syria,
no
maybe.
one is. But no one is doing that in Syria unless Adeyemi comes in, and then if Napoli get Adeyemi, he's too quick. He's
Yeah.
flying right past.
Oh, mate, he's so fast.
Yeah, he was burning everyone anyway, so it didn't matter. But
Yeah.
besides that, I think he could keep up with the pace of Syria, with the pace of most of the teams in the group stage of the Champions League. Maybe not the top teams, but
Yeah.
yes, overall, I think it's a good signing.
He's
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's funny you say that about the Champions League, and the most stacked attack in the entire thing is probably Real Madrid's, and we went and won their 3-1 and kept them to no penalty goals without very quick players in our back four. So you can still be fine without pace,
Yes.
I think a lot of it is how his game evolves and if he improves positionally and stuff. I want to ask this now then before we go on to stats, etc. What do you think's happened at City? What is it? Because he's the captain, he's the official club captain. He's been there for what is it, like 7 years, maybe more? He's been there since
Uh,
2017, so 7 full years, 7.5 seasons,
mhm.
and he has won 17 major trophies with them.